Hello everyone, welcome to PineBM Global Webinar. My name is Mike and I'm from PineBM. PineBM is one of the top South Korean manufacturers of surgical sutures and aesthetic threads. Today we'll be having a webinar and we'll show you how to use some of our products and how to get best result from them. But before starting the webinar, I would like to introduce Mr. Frank, CEO of PineBM, who has been managing and leading PineBM for many years. Hello, Mr. Frank.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. Would you like to say anything to our audience?
Oh, sure, thank you. Hello, how are you? It's very nice to see you. Yes, indeed. Even though we see each other through the camera, it's indeed my big honorable moment for me. I hope you feel the same. Welcome again and many thanks to be with us today. I know, and we all know that PineBM is not the first company who present webinar, but surely I can say that we will be the first company in your mind whenever you think of good, reliable manufacturer as a friend and as a partner. We are trying our best for that. So please enjoy every moment of the day and feel free to tell us what we have to do more for making our next program better. We will do our best. We will stay with you. You will see. So have a very nice day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Frank, for your warm words. Now I would like to introduce our expert, Dr. Kang, Director of Seoul Clinic and former professor at Catholic Medical School in Daegu. He is founder of KS, KCS and KCCS. He is also publisher and founding editor of journal Cosmetic Medicine. Today, Dr. Kang will share his knowledge and experience of thread lifting, and in particular, he will demonstrate his technique of using mesh thread. As you may already know, mesh thread is made by braiding several monothreads into one for making volume and tightening the skin. So without any ado, let's start with our first video and see how mesh thread can be used for labio-mandibular folds and mid-cheek furrow.
Good afternoon, I am Dr. Safi Gang. It is very great pleasure to introduce my technique and introduce this the mesh thread for facial correction of facial volume defect and make a tightening at the same time. Usually patient complain a little fold and little fold and the other fold and wrinkle in their face. So until now, to restore the defect volume in the face, the filler, like a high HA filler, is mostly used for correction of the volume defect in the fold and the wrinkle in the face. Now today I would try to introduce the mesh thread instead of filler to make a volume effect on the face. So first, I would like to show my technique for correction of the labio-mandibular fold. Usually, when we inject the filler, we inject the filler start in the deep layer and the middle and the superficial. Actually, insertion technique is mostly same to the injection technique of the filler. So, and before insert, you need to touch the fold, and you should realize the layer of volume defect, and you need to evaluate number of thread. So that usually for the labio-mandibular fold, you can insert the thread 2 or 3, make sometimes 4 to 5. The number of thread can be used for correction of the volume defect. And this is this I am showing the correction of the Indian fold, mid-cheek furrow, by using mesh thread. So mesh is take part in like a scaffold effect, but we know that when the middle face aged, we can see the sagging and volume defect together. So the sagging is actually primarily caused by the small and flat bone, the zygomatic maxillary bone. So when you can cover this bony defect by insertion of a thread just under the bone, so we can attach this thread, mesh thread, to the bone. So, and we need to touch this matrix bureau, and we should realize the volume defect layer. So touch the bone shape and bone contour. So we can place this thread under the bone, just above the bone, touch the periosteum and the bone. So, and then we insert this mesh thread for bone volumizing for at least 5 to 7. And then sequentially we insert the thread in the middle deep fan layer, and then lastly the superficial layer. The number of threads can be reduced, so much more number in the supraperiosteally, less number in the middle, and the least number in the superficial. So when is the end point of the number of threads? You can see the video. So in the end of video, you can see how to check the volume defect correction. So you can touch. Now you can touch the area which is not placed the thread, and would be placed the area, and you can realize the thickness of soft tissue. So while insert this thread, you can touch the skin of the face, and if the feeling of thickness is mostly same, you can start the insertion of the thread. Usually the number of threads depends on the volume defect. Volume, it means the soft tissue, and bony, the deformity. I am now the insertion sequence is from the deep, middle, and superficial. If you insert more, but most of the case you cannot get enough volume restoration, because subdermis area swollen and volume increase. So even you insert much more number of thread in the middle and the supraperiosteally, you cannot get enough and the natural contour of the mid-face volume. So the much more number in the supraperiosteal, and the less number in the middle, and the least number in the superficial. And the sequence, in order to insert, is from the deep, middle, and superficial layer. This is the basic way to insert this thread.
It was our first video. Later we'll have another live stream procedure using mesh thread, so make sure to stay tuned and feel free to make your questions in our group chat. It's our first webinar today, so we are giving 15% discount for these two sets of products. First one is for making volume and tightening the skin, and the second one is mainly for lifting. So later I will show in details what each package includes, and you have 1 week to make your order and get discount. And we have partners and dealers in more than 30 countries around the world, so you can make your order and get our products easily from our local partners. Now I would like to introduce our new product, which is made from PDO, PCL, and or PLLA powder, depending on the type of the product, and hyaluronic acid. It has great brightening, tightening, and whitening effects. We got huge support and interest from our Russian partner SNA Beauty in developing Polyderm, and the next video has been made by our Russian doctor who will show how Polyderm can be applied for neck to remove rings of Venus.
Здравствуйте, уважаемые коллеги! Сегодня перед нами пациентка, которой мы решили немного поработать с областью шеи.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Safi Kang of the South
Шея у
Korea.
нас относится
Now is we will
к
introduce
деформационному типу.
the
Подкожная
one
жировая
video
клетчатка
for
выражена
the
достаточно хорошо. И вследствие этого кольца Венеры выделяются особенно четко на этом фоне, поскольку здесь подспайная область, и нам необходимо как раз поработать с этой зоной. Мы сегодня будем работать с этой зоной введением препарата Polyderm, который прекрасно уберет как раз за счет неоколлагеногенеза выраженность этих колец Венеры. Для того, чтобы приступить к процедуре, нам необходимо
now this video didn't
по кольцу
show
Венеры
the anesthesia
сделать маленькое
for the
отверстие для
neck,
введения канюли.
but usually we can apply the lidocaine cream for at least 30
И
minutes.
первый проход у нас будет
And for the
непосредственно
insertion of the cannula site, we can inject the lidocaine with epinephrine
по
solution.
проекции кольца Венеры, то есть отсепаровывая эту зону.
Transverse wrinkle of the neck in the tissue actually dermis and the fascia of the flexor muscle is tightly attached together. So when we see the cross section of this transverse wrinkle, we can see the fibrotic band is located between the dermis and the muscle fascia. So when you inject any filler like a material into this area, we need to dissect, blunt dissect by cannula itself. It is very easy way to inject a filler and can make the even surface.
Оставляя дорожку препарата. И чуть выше. Прежде чем приступить к процедуре, мы обязательно должны перемешать препарат. То есть для того, чтобы пудра полидерма, то есть препарат полидерм, размешалась в гиалуронате цинка, и мы получили с вами такой гомогенный раствор. Вот один вектор мы уже ввели. И то же самое мы делаем на втором кольце Венеры. Чуть-чуть потерпите, чтобы можно было уже непосредственно ввести канюлю. То есть точно так же по кольцу Венеры. Мы с вами вводим шприц, отсепаровывая это место. Собственно, это самая неприятная часть. Мы видим, насколько подспайно данное место пациентки. И как раз вот разрыв вот этих вот подспаянных участков с нижележащими тканями нам даст возможность ввести сюда препарат для правильной выработки коллагена первого типа. Оставляем дорожку препарата. И остатки препарата я веду, опустившись чуть ниже. Вот таким вот образом. Аналогичным образом я проработаю противоположную часть шеи. С другой стороны. Для этого я буду делать прокол Будьте здоровы. Вместе как раз обозначившиеся уже у нас заранее кольца Венеры. Вот, собственно, мы ввели канюлю, продвигаемся до середины, для того, чтобы полностью все кольцо Венеры у нас оказалось проработанным. Это крайне важно, иначе у нас останутся участки непроработанные, которые будут заметны. Поскольку препарат реально хорошо работает и убирает выраженность колец. Поэтому, чтобы не было большого диссонанса, мы должны полностью все кольцо Венеры захватить проработкой. И остается у нас последний вектор, который мы будем вводить по ниже лежащему кольцу. Последний укольчик. Все, мой хороший.
You see some difficult dissection, separation of tissue in the beginning of approaching this cannula. So for easy approach, when you make an entry site using 18-gauge needle, you can cut the skin and the subside under the dermis. You can make a cavity, you can separate this, you can cut the fibrotic connection between dermis and the muscle fascia. Before you doing this, it's much easier to approach the dissect using the blunt cannula.
Мы обязательно должны с вами сделать легкий массаж обработанной зоны и закрыть тем самым еще и места вколов.
Maybe 2 or 3 for the 2 days after procedure, the inject area becomes swollen. So, and the patient may complain about some irregularity and uneven surface. Let the patient make a cooling for just 2 days, and then do not apply the cold compression after 2 days after the procedure. If we persist the cold massage after 2 days, the swelling will be last more than we expected. So 3 days after, if the patient complains or the patient realizes some nodularity or uneven surface, we can permit the patient the gentle massage to spread the irregular area, the pressure and massage the irregular area, let them make an even surface. She applied anti-inflammatory cream, but it's okay. It is usually used for the swelling and pain, prevent the swelling and pain for the musculoskeletal area, joint. But for the entry site, we damaged the skin, so we need to apply the antibacterial ointment, or sometimes the entry site is become large at any bleeding. We need to suture with the 6 or nylon. Thank you for doctor. You can see the dissect the space between the dermis and muscle fascia. Actually, platysma muscle is very thin, so it's very important to direct damage to the platysma muscle. Gentle dissection is very important.
Sorry for inconvenience. We are having some technical issues, so maybe iPhone users are not being able to see our webinar now. But don't worry, we will send full webinar later, and you can just listen for the webinar now. And let's continue. So, Polyderm is a new product. Maybe we expect you have many questions about it, and so you can write your questions to our group chat, and we will do our best to respond them during the webinar and in our Q&A session. And now we are coming to the main part of the webinar, which is live stream procedure, where Dr. Kang will show how mesh thread can be used for labio-mandibular folds and nasolabial folds.
Hello, good afternoon. I am Dr. Sapigan. Today I will show the mesh thread insertion for volumizing for the face to correct the volume defect in the face. So as you see, I am injecting, I am desensitizing the entry site and injecting tumescent for anesthesia. Here for the pain. And easy to insert the thread. 실 많이 준비해야 돼요. Before I applied lidocaine cream for 30 minutes, so the entry site, just entry site desensitization is enough. But now this is the live demonstration, so that for considering the patient emotional and the patient comfortable. So I'm injecting the tumescent. 올려보세요. 오케이. 좀 안 아프려고 살짝 좀 마취제사를 좀 더 넣는 거예요. 힘 빼세요. 몸에 힘을 빼셔야지 긴장해서 힘을 주면 피가 납니다. 그래서 힘을 주시면 돼요. 자, 편하게 숨 쉬시고. 숨 쉬어보세요. So there's 길이가 어떻게 돼요?
네?
아니야, 실 길이. 이게 다 50이에요? So this is mesh thread. The length is 15 milliliter length. So the cannula is 20 몇 gauge? 19 gauge cannula together with the mesh thread. So first I will show you the volumizing effect of this mesh thread for the Indian fold and Indian fold. So here this line is lytic junction, the junction between the face and eye region. So we can place this thread and this eye region, but just for supraparital layer. So in this case, I will not insert this thread for the eye region, but just for the Indian fold mid-cheek puro. So make enough entry point because of the quite large cannula, thick cannula and the thick thread. So first we need to touch the bone and placed parallel to the bone surface and placed this thread, just so that this thread placed under the bone. So and this large number of the entry side, the number of the cannula, you can make another entry point to reduce the skin damage. Here, touch the bone and then change the angle and place the cannula parallel to the bone surface and push toward this middle part of the eye. 2, 3, 4, 5, 힘을 빼셔야 돼요. 힘을 꾹꾹 주시면 안 돼요. Insert 5, number of thread, and then here the volume enough, defect enough. So you can touch the surface, you can realize the volume defect in the middle of here, deepest. So now you can touch here. This circle is the thread placed here. Touch, and touch. And it's, when you feel some defective volume, you should insert more number of thread. Yeah, and the middle layer. Sorry. Middle. Middle. And superficial. And touch. Mostly down. And one more. And then touch. And I insert the middle, and finally I can insert superficial. you afraid afraid of irregularity and the superficial layer, you can inject the filler instead of this trap. Oh, sorry, again. So, we need to check here the volume, still volume defect. But the skin is so soft and laxity, so I will inject the filler instead of the thread. The thread is the deep portion is enough. Number of thread, the deep portion is enough. I think the deepest part, deep layer, I insert one more thread. And then touch here, and because she has very soft and lax of skin, so when you insert the thread, the superficial amount more number, so you can see some the contour of the inserted thread. So in this case, you can inject the filler cannula. Here, like, and middle, and superficially, subdermally, for volumizing, and tightening, and even surface, and softening, and then here, and touch. So if the filling, touching and filling is almost the same, that is the end point of insertion and injection, like this. The steel here, the steel defect. 피부가 완전 물살이시네. 응? 물살이셔.
나쁜 건가요?
나쁜 거지. 뭐 탱탱해야 되는데 피부에 힘이 없어. 좋은 건 아니죠. I'm injecting filler. So finally touch, and here insertion and injection area, and here the filling mostly same as this in the end point of injection and insertion. Now I will show you the mandibular fold, and before, when you inject the insertion, you can touch here and here and here. So this is the volume defect area, folding area here, deepest folding part, unfolding part. You can see these differences. So for the deepest and the deepest layer, I will insert the thread. The thread will act like a scaffold, the framework of the house. So the deepest level, you can put the thread. 1, 2, sorry, deepest, 4, 3, 4, and you can check here again. The deepest volume defect of the deep layer was disappeared. The volumized again. So, and I will put in the middle here, middle layer. the layer 1 and 2. So, and in the nasal fold, here is in the middle. Here, very thin. You can see the folding area, very thin skin. So, you may insert in this area for. Can you see here? The folding part is the volume is restored enoughly. So you can realize the volume differences. Both here is enough, not enough, very thin. It's not thin. So then, and you may insert one or two for the superficial layer. But you are afraid, so the patient skin very thin, and the folding crease is very thin. Sometimes it is much better to inject the filler together. Okay, so and now you can realize the change of thickness inside, or change of volume inside. Here is the not insertion area, not insertion area. Before you can realize big differences of volume, big difference of thickness. Now this side, the 80% of volume is restored. But as you know that any volume defect cannot be perfectly improved by only thread. So in the subdermis, interdermal or subdermally, we need to inject the filler at the same time. But different layer, the same layer or different is no problem. This mesh thread act like a scaffold. You can, when you insert and inject these two material at the same time, same layer or different layer, no problem. But from my experience, it's much better. You can get much better, much last longer, much tighten. You can get much tighten, much lifting effect. So, and compare with the other side, the skin become tighten, volume is okay, no problem. So the other low part here, and near the mouth corner, when you insert the thread in the superficially, middle or superficially, because of the much animation, so this thread migrate the other unexpected area. Sometimes the end part, distal end of the thread may touch the dermis, and sometimes patient get pain, or the patient find out the foreign tiny nodule, tiny cord-like structure on the skin. So, okay, you can see the change of volume, and even the color of the skin is changed. Look very nice. And this side also. Here, before you can touch here, and this side. The difference is thickness and volume here. So, first we can insert the thread. Here and here, touch, and you can feel the level of cannula inside, and then you can decide the location and depth together. Okay? 이게 3.5 주세요. Too long, so I want the shorter one. 50 말고 3. 38mm 주세요. This is 5 centimeter. 1, so too long. So here. This is the 3.8. It's suitable for this labio-mandibular fold. Okay. Oh, only 3 is enough. So, and under the dummies, to make the skin tighten and volumizing, superficially, you can inject filler. Nice. Okay. So I did 3 area here. So I show this glabellar area. Okay. Here. Here also you should touch. It's the glabellar fold here, here, and the touch the bone first. Some case you can realize the bony depression too. So this is the 3.5. So we can put the thread just above the bone. Here, touch the bone and place along the crease of glabella. This one and touch. Good, nice effect. Here, touch the bone and place just supraperiosteally. You can place this mesh thread along the glabellar line, dim line, and then touch. Oh, the most in the middle, deepest line here, the crease, middle of the volume is restored enoughly. And then you can inject the filler together. Otherwise, and touch. Mostly, maybe 60% volume is restored. So here, and deep, and a little, and then middle, and superficial. So and touch. Do not overcorrect. Just you can touch. You can close this area, and mostly the feeling of thickness, feeling of volume defect is almost the same. It's okay. That is the end point. The medial side a little more volume. The dermal is subdermally inject. Okay. It's okay. So before here I insert the thread for the Indian fold, but here eyelid lesion, low eye lesion, look volume defect, look much more than before. So here, because of the mid-cheek portion is volume increased, the tissue is protruded entering more. So this low eyelid look more depressed, look more hollow. So in this case, you can also insert this thread too, but just only for the supraperiosteally. So when you try this, touch the bone. Now touch the bone and place this thread under the orbital ligament, like this. Do not place above the ligament. Just under the ligament is okay. If you insert this thread above the ligament, this patient can feel the foreign body and this mesh thread like a structure inside. So, and then you should place this thread under the ligament. It means this thread fixed under the ligament, not movable inside. So when you insert this one, touch. There's no thread, and the bone is protruded. Bone is thickened. the filling is right. You should not touch any movable thread inside. Just the bone is swollen entirely. That's the filling is right level of insertion. And then you can inject filler too. Filler is the same. The supraperiosteal jelly under the ligament. Now is the level of here, mid-face, eye level, almost the same, and the disjunction is this junction hollow is this improved hollow is improved much. Mostly medial, and then mostly medial side, you can insert filler together. And this side. So one side, this opening is quite large because I used because the mesh thread is quite thick. So in this case, the suture with the 6 nylon is much better. Much better in Asian patient, but not Asian, but the Western patient, actually no need. I will show you again. So I speed up my technique, my insertion of this thread, my technique. Here, first touch the bone and then place. Here, you can touch the bone and you can realize the upper end of the cannula and the placed. You can feel anything. The level of the depth and level of the thread, and position 2. 1. Touch the bone and place. 2. 3. 4. Touch bone and place. Push the cannula and place. 3. 4. 4 and supraperiosteally and touch. Oh, maybe 30 or 40% of the volume defect and the deep layer is restored. Yeah, and then you can and then you can insert in the middle. Middle means the deep fat layer. 1, 2. 3. And touch again. More. Need more. 3. And superficially, and the superficial fat layer. 1. 2. And check. And the lower half here, near here, from here to here, maybe 70-80% volume is restored. And then you can insert. And is there not enough? You insert the thread again. But when you insert thread again, you should insert the thread deep first, deep 1 or 2, middle and then first. Any time you insert thread, this is the way to prevent prevent irregularity and unnatural contour. So, and I will try. And here you can insert thread more, but you can you also inject the filler together. Filler, touch, dip. You can inject filler, dip, near here, in the middle, and superficial. Just one small volume and touch. And touch. After touching, you can feel any volume defect and irregularity, uneven. You decide the level and depth, and you can inject. Touch. Perfect. That is the end point of injection and insertion too. Here. You may see here, knit-cheek junction look more obvious than before. So in this case, we can insert the thread along the inferior orbital limb, but under the ligament above the periosteum. Touch the bone and then scratch the bone, and cannula should be placed under the orbital uterine ligament. So fixed like this. This is fixed because this cannula located under the uterine ligament. Now, okay. The reason why, just like my mistake, is I did not fix this lobe when whiling and then you should put this lobe and fix and then take out. You can prevent this. So that is my mistake, my fault. I insert 2, much better. The contours changed. 2 is enough. And it depends on bone defect. You may insert 2 more thread, two more number of thread along the orbital limb. Can inject. So compared to before, before there was obvious crease, obvious fold. Now, here you can see the natural contour. The same. So lastly, I put third thread here and defect here. That's this is the depressed area. The deep crease is a folding area, folding part. Easy to become thin folding and depressed area. So the purpose is not to fold. Here's a folding, not folding, not folded flat, but folding. So for final target is unfolding effect of natural fold. Unfolding. This is not folded, flat. Here folding. So I put for this I will put the thread. Here upper first, deep upper first. 1. On the basis of the middle crease, upper part thread insertion first. And in upper part, dim layer first, middle layer second, superficial layer the last. I put thread for deep 3. And my mistake. Here and the middle here. Middle. Okay. Why? 이거 자꾸 빠져나오지? The middle and a little superficial. Okay. middle 2. Okay. And touch. Most more than 60% of this area, more than 60% of volume is recovered. Flattened, right? And then I put this depressed area for the nasal fold. Second. Deep. So the number of thread depends on the patient condition. So before insertion, you need to mark like this, and then while inserting, you touch, and then you decide the volume defect again, and then you can decide final number of the thread you use. Yes. You can see here, before was folded, but now is flattened. So here, and lastly, you can put the 1 or 2 thread for the middle of crease, deepest area, middle of crease here, in the middle of crease, but not too superficial. And then touch. Mostly, I think. 80, more than 80% was improved. And filler, and then you can insert a very fine, smooth thread for the skin tightening, just the subdermal area, but it's okay. But today I will show you the filler injection for the just superficial for the skin, subdermally touched dermis, and inject filler. So there's no folding, no depression. A little more here. No folding, right? This is a nasal labial fold, not wrinkle. So before was folded, now it's not folded, flattened. This is the final result of this combination technique. Here, the volume defect I placed subdermally. So using injection and insertion, these two, okay, and touch. Before there was full defect, and there's much fluctuation of the skin surface and volume inside. Now, this fluctuation of the volume is not much, mostly even. But some of the swollen, because of the swollen inside, I can feel some differences of the skin texture. But the feeling of thickness, feeling of the volume is mostly smooth. Here, lastly, here, and here, touch, and you can feel the upper end of the cannula here and depth together, and then fix, take out, no thread. One, depth here, deep. You can see inside. You can check the depth of the cannula through the oral cavity. Here, and 1 or 3 is okay, I think. And touch. Mostly the same, but near here, near mouth corner, the superficially there's volume defect, still volume defect. And here, when you approach the thread at the very near here, every time not always good. So in this case, feel is much safer and comfortable. here. Okay. So, and this is the lying position, but in the standing position, some of the skin relaxed like this, sag. And in this case, in this status, we can check the whole of the contour of the face. But actually, her zygomatic bone is left. This side is small and flatter than right side. So for the surface, I will inject the filler for correction of the bone deformity. So place the tip of the cannula just up and touch under the bone, and I can inject. Much better here. Also here there are some depressed. So here touch the bone and placed above the bone here and inject. Much better. She has some maladepression and a little, you can see a little sagging appearance of the here the depressed. So we can improve this sagging by filler injection. When you inject the superficial in the middle, sometimes much more sag you may have. But when you inject for the correction of the bone deformity, so a filler just attached to the bone, and the bone protrude anteriorly. So we can lift low part of soft tissue upward and the volumizing together. This is next time I have a chance to introduce my technique for the filler lifting. I will show this amazing technique next time. Thank you. Thank you for my watching and attending my live surgery demonstration. Thank you.
We just finished our live stream procedure and we're going to have our Q&A session. But before starting Q&A session, let me show again our discount packages. First package is for making volume and tightening the skin. So it has mesh thread, mono thread, and Polyderm. And the second package is for lifting. So it has Cobra Cox threads, which are stronger and more effective than usual slice Cox threads. And plus it has Polyderm and mesh thread. So each package has 3 products. You have 1 week to make your order and get your discount. Thank you, doctor, for sharing your technique of using mesh thread. And we have some questions. Shall we have our Q&A session now? And the first question is, it's about Polyderm. What are the ingredients of Polyderm?
Today I used one is PLA powder with a mixture of the HA filler together.
Okay. And the second question is, when the effect will appear?
As you see, my live demonstration video, the effect immediately you can see the change of volume and tightening. But the real effect, treatment means that the subside was swelling by operation. It would be this here period around 2 weeks. So real effect you can see the 2 weeks after the surgery.
And the effect will disappear at all, so there is nothing permanent?
Yes. Mostly this polymer is biodegradable, so totally 100% is naturally disappeared in the tissue. So the filler, usually HA filler, the effective lasts at least 1 or 2 years. The powder of this polymer will disappear around 6 to 8 months. So we expect at least 1 year effect. 1 year effect of the effect. Actually, perfectly 1 year. I can guarantee. We can guarantee.
Okay. Great. And the next question is, which skin layer we inject?
Yeah, today I show my video to demonstration. And I inject the whole layer in the face. The supraperiosteal layer and the deep fan layer, middle fan, the superficial fan layer under the dermis. Whole layer I inject the filler, I insert the thread, but the thread mostly insert in the supraperiosteal and deep fan layer. At the least number, I put the superficial layer. Actually, do not insert just under the dermis.
Okay, let's see. And the next question is there any allergic reaction to Polyderm?
Yeah, Polyderm actually no allergen, but it depends on the patient condition. The patient has the immunity and the health condition is not good, or the smoking. So any history of allergic patient, they may more susceptible to this gradient. So, and in this case, we can give to the antihistamine oral pill or oral tablet or antihistamine injection before and after surgery.
Okay.
We can prevent it perfectly.
Okay. And there's a question, why we mix it before injection?
This polymer is not water soluble, so it's very difficult to inject. It's difficult to put inside the tissue by it itself. So it's very lucky to mix with the HA filler. So when we mix together with the HA filler, we can inject easier, and we can prevent uneven surface. So we can inject very comfortably.
Okay. So we have more questions. It's about mesh, I think. So why do you choose this type of thread for making volume?
Until now, the thread is just for the tightening, the lifting and tightening. So, but this mesh thread is developed for the volumizing.
Yes.
So, and when we inject the filler is very the solid material, not so it needs some time to fix in the tissue. But patient faces all the time is movable, and have many facial animation. When you inject the filler in the animation area, some more filler may move the other area we do not expect. So, but when we insert the thread in that area, the thread is fixed in the tissue. So when the patient movable had much more facial animation, so that the inserted thread still exists in the site. So the mesh thread has a space inside. So our body cell, connective tissue cell migrate inside the mesh tissue inside. Our body make the new tissue inside the mesh thread and outside the mesh thread. So, and the mesh thread has their own advantage. But so, and for the nice, for the perfect result, it is the best way to combination procedure, mixture of thread to get the filler and the thread together.
Okay. So the next question is, how long the result lasts? I think you answered the question too. And why this type? I think so. Next question is how mesh thread will stay in face.
I use the mesh thread is the consist of the pedio thread. The pedio thread. So the maybe around the 8 months after almost the thread is disappeared, and but after disappearance of this thread, our body covered the thread outside. So there's our body fiber septum still there, even the inside of the thread is disappeared, and the covered inside the new tissue is still there. So there has a tension, so not stronger than before when the disappearance of thread, but there's still our body made the new tissue and fiber capsule, so the effect it lasts more than we expected. So even 8 months the thread is disappeared. With my more than 10 years experience, the effect lasts at least 1 year.
Okay, so here's a question: why this type?
What type? Why this type?
Yeah.
What means?
What's the advantage of this?
The mesh thread.
Yes.
Mesh thread. I talked just to people because this thread is not for the lifting, but for the volumizing. So. And for the usually for to correct the volume defect, we usually use the filler, right? The filler sometimes very perfect, but that's sometimes not perfect.
Yeah.
So to cover this for the perfectness of the facial rejuvenation for the volumizing. So my idea is the combination, that thread and the filler together.
Okay. Do you have any tips to reduce swelling and pain after the procedure?
Yeah, usually when we should give to the drug for the painkiller, but mostly the important thing is to immobilize the face. So taping is enough. Just 3M taping. We can reduce the swelling and reduce the further bleeding after full procedure, reduce the animation, so the much better for the rapid healing, and give the oral for the anti-inflammatory antibiotic drug, and the cool packing for the 2 days. But just the 2 days, after 2 days, do not apply the cold compression. After 3 days, the warm compression is much better for the wound healing. Left disappearance of the swelling, it's much better. That 3 days after, you should try to the warm packing.
Okay, so that's really useful tip. And the next question is Polyderm safe for all skin layers?
For anyway, the PDO, PCL, PLA is not for is the foreign. They are all foreign material. The immunity is the very most sensitive is to skin. The bone and periosteum not sensitive. So And if you, the patient, it depends on patient and depends on the doctor's thinking, doctor's consideration. So you want to avoid any allergic reaction. When you use these materials, do not inject skin. Do not inject intradermally. Do not inject just the subdermal. The deeper layer is more safe.
Okay.
Because of this, the skin antigenicity.
Okay. And we have another question. If we feel too much, what should we do? Is it dangerous if it gets into blood vessels?
It means this means the PLA polymer. So we can prevent. We can control the volume. When I showed my video presentation, live surgery, while injecting, while insertion, you need to touch the soft tissue of the face, and you should mark the injection area, and then you should touch, not insertion, not area, but insertion area. While before you touch, you should realize of all differences. While you injecting, while you insertion, you should touch every time or sometimes, and then you should check the volume increase. I think that do not overcorrect. Do not overcorrect. When you touch, and all the space, all the layer is even the same feeling, you should stop. That is the end point of insertion and the point of injection. So you can prevent overcorrection. But even too much insert, best way is to take out the thread.
Yes.
Take out the thread.
Yeah, that's the best way. And so there's the next question. What type of hyaluronic acid used to make mixture with PLLA? I think the question is about Polyderm.
I used one, is the HA filler is the cross-linked. Cross-linked. But when cross-linked is the viscosity is high, and they has a cross-linked foreign body material inside. So when you use the PLA polymer for the skin rejuvenation, whitening, just a tightening, it's better to mix with non-cross-linked. But you want to make a volumizing. You want to change the contour of the face. It's much better to mix with the cross-linked HA filler.
Okay, that's important. And okay, I think we don't have questions now. Thank you for your detailed answers, and thank you for the live procedure. It was really informative and interesting, and it was really pleasant to have you in our webinar.
Thank you very for inviting me to show, to introduce my new technique, and give me chance to show show my the thread or the filler injection technique to the other international doctors. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now we are coming to the end of our webinar, but we are not going to stop here. We will keep working and making new content for you. And we are also looking for your suggestions and feedback for the first webinar, so that we can improve and bring more valuable information for the next time that meets your interest. We hope you enjoyed the webinar and learned something new. Thank you for staying tuned, and see you next time.